On the morning of July 30th, 2011, something terrifying happened at a luxury apartment complex in Sydney. Residents of the Hyde were shocked by screams coming from the 15th floor. People rushed outside and found the lifeless body of Lisa Cecilia Harnum. Just minutes later, her fiancé, 37-year-old Simon Gittany, ran out of the building, looking devastated and in shock. At first, it seemed like a tragic accident, but there was a strange twist. A torn note was found in Lisa's pocket with a chilling message. There are surveillance cameras everywhere in the apartment. This discovery left everyone asking the same question. Why did this tragic event happen? Was it an accident or something more sinister? This high-profile event shook two countries, Australia, where the tragedy occurred, and Canada, the victim's homeland. The case of Lisa Harnum and Simon Gittany became one of the most discussed and controversial criminal trials in Australian history. In this video, we'll dive deep into what really happened that fateful morning and unravel the truth behind this shocking case. Lisa Cecilia Harnum, born in June 1981 in a Toronto suburb, was the second child of Joan, raised alongside her older brother Jason. Their father left early, leaving Joan to raise them alone. Lisa was active and driven from a young age, passionate about sports like soccer and volleyball, but ballet was her true love. She trained intensively, spending hours daily at the dance studio. After graduating from school, Lisa continued her dance pursuits. While during her university studies, Lisa worked as a perfume consultant at a large cosmetics chain. In 2005, at the age of 24, Lisa decided to broaden her horizons by traveling and gaining new experiences. She relocated to Australia on a 12-month work visa, seeking a warmer climate than her native Canada. Despite the distance and time difference, she stayed closely connected with her family, frequently talking and corresponding with her mother, Joan. Her family supported her decision to move and her plans to eventually gain Australian citizenship. Lisa Harnum secured a position at the Australian College of Hairdressing and Beauty in Sydney, a perfect fit for her passion for fashion, hairstyles, and beauty trends. In 2009, she extended her stay in Australia by finding this job. While looking for a new place to live, a friend introduced her to Simon, a potential roommate. Simon was a shoe importer who dressed in expensive suits and led the lifestyle of Sydney's successful professionals. He and his business partner imported high-end shoes from the US and sold them online in Australia to make a profit. Then Lisa moved in with Simon and told her mother that she was staying with Simon temporarily and was looking for another place. She reassured her mother that there was no cause for concern, believing Simon was not interested in women, which she thought would make her living arrangement comfortable. Lisa moved into Simon's luxurious 15th floor apartment in the Hyde, Sydney's central business district. With floor-to-ceiling windows and a balcony overlooking Hyde Park, the apartment offered breathtaking views. After 2 months of living together, Lisa and Simon's relationship evolved from roommates to a romantic involvement. Lisa told her mother that initially she and Simon got along well, though she never mentioned being in love with him. Despite this, their relationship quickly grew more serious. Simon gave Lisa an expensive smartphone and laptop, which he had equipped with spyware to monitor her messages, emails, and calls. He also tracked her movements and accessed her social media accounts, where he secretly removed friends, deleted posts and photos, and read her private messages. Simon's control over Lisa intensified daily. As a master manipulator, he convinced Lisa that her actions were her own choice. He invaded every aspect of her life, eliminating any semblance of privacy. Simon banned her from using cosmetics, criticizing her makeup as vulgar, and replaced her wardrobe with drab, unattractive clothes in gray and black, discarding her previous outfits for being too revealing. Lisa was allowed to leave the apartment only with Simon, and they only visited places he selected. Simon even forbade Lisa from going to the gym, insisting she use the expensive exercise equipment he bought for home workouts. Her social media friend lists dwindled, and eventually, Simon persuaded her to delete her accounts. In real life, Lisa's friends were gone, and her contacts and calls were closely monitored, with Simon allowing her to communicate only with her mother and brother. In December 2010, Lisa planned to visit Canada for Christmas with her family. Although Simon initially intended to accompany her, he canceled last minute due to urgent work. Reluctantly, he allowed Lisa to go alone, but imposed strict rules and conditions she had to follow. When Lisa arrived in Canada at her mother Joan's home, Joan and her brother Jason were stunned by the changes in Lisa over the past year. She was no longer the vibrant and cheerful beauty they remembered. Lisa's appearance was drastically different from the vibrant woman she used to be. She wore no makeup, had her luxurious hair hidden under a headscarf, and her clothes were drab and oversized. More alarming than her physical changes, however, was her behavior. She flinched at every phone ring and answered immediately, as Simon had mandated. She stayed home constantly, refused to meet friends, and rarely ventured outside. Her mother, deeply concerned and frightened, decided to confront Lisa and understand what was happening. Lisa broke down in tears and confessed that Simon constantly tracked her location, monitored her communications, and controlled every aspect of her life. He forbade her from working, seeing friends, going to the gym, or pursuing any hobbies. She had lost all her friends and felt isolated. Her mother was stunned and urged her to stay in Canada, where she had support and safety. Lisa insisted she loved Simon and believed this was just a rough patch. She was convinced he would soon ease up and that his intentions were good. Despite her family's pleas, Lisa chose to return to Australia. After Lisa returned to Australia, the situation deteriorated further. Simon restricted her to the apartment and insisted that when they did go out, she had to keep her eyes cast down to avoid making eye contact with other men. Additionally, he started calling her by her middle name, Cecilia, believing it sounded more respectable. In the spring of 2011, Lisa started experiencing pain in her leg from an old ballet injury. Instead of taking her to the hospital, Simon hired a female physiotherapist who visited their home 3 times a week, becoming Lisa's only friend and confidant. Lisa confided in her about the increasingly oppressive situation with Simon. For Lisa's 30th birthday on June 12th, Simon organized a party at an upscale Sydney restaurant, but the guest list was limited to his relatives and close associates. Lisa was not allowed to invite anyone from her circle. At the end of the evening, Simon proposed, slipping a ring onto Lisa's finger. Although she accepted, her tears were more about despair than joy. Back at home, Lisa called her mother, sobbing as she shared the news of her engagement. Joan was deeply worried and urged Lisa to leave Simon and return to Canada. Lisa, aware that Simon might be monitoring her calls, begged her mother to avoid discussing such matters over the phone. Simon had persistently urged Lisa to quit her job, claiming she wasn't valued and could find a better-paying position elsewhere. Despite his pressure, Lisa loved her job at the beauty salon, where she had a loyal clientele and was satisfied with her earnings. She couldn't understand why she should leave a job she enjoyed and where she felt appreciated. When Lisa refused to quit, Simon's frustration boiled over. In August 2011, he showed up at her salon, creating a scene that pressured her into resigning. Although Lisa was shocked by his behavior, Simon reassured her it was for the best, claiming his income was sufficient for both of them. What Lisa didn't know was Simon's troubling criminal past. At 18, Simon had harassed his ex-girlfriend at her workplace. After the store owner intervened, Simon and his friends forcibly restrained the owner, and Simon brutally assaulted him. Simon served only a few months in jail before being released on bail for good behavior, a stark contrast to the charming exterior he presented to Lisa.
Lisa tried to focus on wedding plans, but Simon took control of every detail, leaving her feeling sidelined. During a physiotherapy session, she confided to her therapist that she felt trapped in the relationship and couldn't leave because Simon wouldn't let her. Lisa and her physiotherapist devised a plan, where Lisa secretly handed over her belongings for safekeeping during each visit. On July 28th, Simon left his laptop at home, which Lisa seized as an opportunity to investigate. She discovered spyware that tracked her phone data and recorded her conversations. Most alarmingly, she found surveillance footage from hidden cameras in every room of their apartment. That same day, using her physiotherapist's phone, Lisa urgently called her mother, asking her to come immediately and take her home. Joan couldn't leave work right away and needed time to arrange a shift swap, a delay she would later deeply regret. Back at home, Simon quickly realized Lisa had discovered the spyware and confronted her. Lisa, devastated and confused, questioned why she was subjected to such invasive control. Simon claimed his actions were for her protection. On July 29th, Lisa confronted Simon about his spying. In a tense conversation recorded for court, she begged to leave, but Simon calmly refused, accusing her of having mental problems. On July 30th, Lisa prepared to leave, packing her essentials and documents. She locked herself in the bathroom and called her mother, warning that if anything happened to her, Simon was responsible. Lisa tried to leave the apartment quietly while Simon slept, but she was unsuccessful. Neighbors reported hearing a scream in the hallway, which abruptly ceased. A minute later, a young woman fell from the 15th floor balcony, dying instantly upon impact. Passers-by, including a man walking his dog, saw her fall but didn't understand what was happening in time. The man saw someone, later identified as Simon, holding something large and throwing it down. When people reached the scene, Lisa was already dead from severe injuries. 3 minutes later, Simon emerged in pajamas, crying and claiming he hadn't caught Lisa in time. He expressed distress over not being able to stop her. Although it initially seemed like an accident, Simon quickly asserted that Lisa had jumped voluntarily. Strange discoveries emerged after Lisa's body was examined. Fragments of a note found in her pockets read, "There are cameras everywhere in the apartment." Fearing Simon might find the message, she had torn and scattered it. Investigations confirmed numerous cameras in the apartment, but the hard drive with the footage was missing, and Simon denied its existence. However, a communal hallway camera captured a chilling moment. Lisa ran out, calling for help before Simon dragged her back inside. This was the scream neighbors heard. Additionally, Simon's laptop contained recordings of their conversations and evidence of spyware he used to monitor Lisa. In Simon's defense, he claimed that he and Lisa argued that morning, which led to her becoming hysterical. According to him, she ran out into the hallway screaming, and he brought her back inside to avoid drawing attention from the neighbors. Simon said he tried to call Lisa's mother, but while he was on the phone, Lisa ran out onto the balcony and jumped. He said he tried to stop her but was too late. Simon also mentioned that Lisa had previously threatened to take her own life, but he hadn't taken her threats seriously. During the trial, Simon was accompanied by Rachel Louise, a 22-year-old model who looked strikingly similar to Lisa. Rachel frequently appeared in the media, asserting that Simon would never harm a woman. It was later suggested that Rachel's public appearances were motivated by a desire for fame rather than genuine support for Simon. Simon's lawyers argued that Lisa had a mental disorder and might have committed suicide voluntarily, citing her history of anorexia and clinical treatment. They claimed Simon, being short, couldn't physically have thrown her off the balcony. However, this was countered by Simon's gym trainer, who stated Simon was stronger than he appeared and could have lifted Lisa. Additionally, the absence of Lisa's fingerprints on the railing and glass barrier suggested she did not jump voluntarily. The physiotherapist testified that Lisa had confided in her about the abuse and had given her belongings for safekeeping, which was crucial to the case. Simon was convicted of Lisa's murder and sentenced to 26 years in prison, with parole possible after 18 years. After the verdict, Rachel Lewis insulted the judge, for which she was removed from the room. Rachel Lewis later ended her relationship with Simon, saying in an interview that it was difficult for her to maintain a relationship in prison. Despite the overwhelming evidence of his guilt, Simon continues to profess his innocence. Much of the evidence against him was gathered using his own spy devices. The victim's mother and brother were relieved by the verdict, feeling that without the surveillance footage and witness testimonies, the murder might have gone unpunished. After the trial, Lisa's mother became an advocate for domestic violence awareness. Lisa's case, involving Simon, became a high-profile example of domestic violence, highlighting the critical need to recognize warning signs in relationships. The story of Lisa Harnum and Simon has left an indelible mark on both Australia and Canada. As always, thank you for watching. If you found this video interesting, we would appreciate your support by liking and subscribing to the channel. Your feedback and subscriptions help us share more stories. Stay tuned for the next video.